Hey, friends, welcome back to The Good Life with Michelle Lemoreau. I'm your host, Michelle. I'm so glad you're joining me today. This is a must listen conversation. We're going to learn how to develop strong muscles and bones and why it is so critical that we do so to not just live longer, but to live healthier with agency and vitality. Joining us today is Dr. Vonda Wright, who is the author of a new book called Unbreakable, A Woman's Guide to Aging with Power. This is a conversation that I want you to share with every woman you know, regardless of her age. There's information in here that every woman needs to know in order to age with power. Dr. Wright is a double board certified orthopedic surgeon and internationally recognized authority on human performance, longevity, and women's health. She's the director of the Performance and Research Initiative for Masters Athletes. And if you've yet to do so, take a second right now to subscribe to the podcast. There's more great interviews coming your way. Okay, my friends, on that note, let's get right into today's conversation. Here we go. Welcome, Dr. Wright. I am so excited to have you on the show today. This is the wake up call that I needed. And I know that so many of the women listening are going to learn from and be so grateful to have your expertise on today.
Wonderful. Thanks for having me.
So, I'm curious, you've been dedicated to empowering women for so long. I've seen you've written 5 books. Fitness After 40 came out, second edition in 2015. You've been at this a really long time. I'm always curious, what inspired you to want to empower women? It's one thing to have your practice, but it's another thing to be out there in the world really trying to educate and bring other women along.
Well, when I originally wrote, my first book was put out in 2008. All of my academic research is in musculoskeletal aging, not believing the common societal myth of that aging is this inevitable decline. But in 2012, I read some really important data that said that women make 80% of all the healthcare decisions in this country for ourselves and everyone we touch. And so I thought about that in myself and in the women I care for. My practice is both men and women. But after that data, it occurred to me that if we're making all the decisions for health, and frankly, we make all the decisions for consumer spending, there's a real disconnect on how really powerful we are to change the health of this country. And so it became something that I was really concerned about and passionate about. And I think it was also informed by the fact that my first career in medicine was as a cancer nurse, where I did largely treat women. And so understanding how women suffer and then coming onto the data that I knew that women are really so powerful to change the health of this country, and yet
Yes,
don't know that for ourselves and others. And then coupled with the fact that as caregivers, women often don't even take care of themselves as they're taking care of others. I think those are all motivating factors for me.
absolutely. And absolutely, women aren't taking care of themselves, unfortunately. And then there's also sort of the expectations of how we're going to age. In the promotional material, I thought this was interesting. It says, for your book, it says research on men's longevity research has been in vogue for years, with study after study focusing on helping men get stronger and more energetic as they age. For women, it's a whole other story. The medical expectation is that we'll grow frail, and interventions are mostly focused on anti-aging cosmetics, which is so true and so frustrating. So,
Yeah.
um, you say the facts show that women live longer than men, but we're not being, shown a path that shows that we can continue to be vibrant and healthy. So where's that, and you're just from what you know, like, why is there that disparity?
Well, when you think about it, it's not surprising, right? It's not surprising that there's not enough medical research to understand women's aging, cure for women's diseases,
Mm,
because even though there are 90 million women in this country over 40,
jeez.
51% of all people in this country are women or girls, right? XX chromosomes, born with ovaries.
Yes.
51%, 90 million people over 40 that have XX chromosomes, not until 1993, which I was squarely an adult, right? For those of
Yeah.
us in midlife, that is not that long ago.
No.
Not until 1993 were women required to be um, included in medical studies. So when you ask the question, why don't we know? Why isn't there more? It's because women have not been studied. And even today, less than 1% of all NIH funded research is for women over 40. In fact, about 10% of dollars in research are spent on women at all, and it's usually fertility, which is fine. But 90 million women over 40, and
Unbelievable.
1% of all funding is for things specific to us. On top of that, we have less than 2% of all venture capital, meaning public money, being spent on products for women in
Yes.
this demographic.
Yes.
So, it when you frame it like that, not that surprising, right?
Yes. But also not okay, which is why you're on today to talk about your book,
Yeah,
Unbreakable.
it's not okay. We just have
No.
a lot of work to do. And I think women are sometimes our worst enemies
Yes.
because we accept suffering. We
Yes.
accept that this is just the way it's going to be. Many times we know what to do and we don't do it. And I'm not wagging my finger at women. I'm just not absolving us of all the progress. We're not victims. If we say, "Oh, this is happening to us," then we're victims. I don't believe women are victims. Women do hard things. Women are very tough. I'm very tough. You're very tough. But yet sometimes we don't step up into our place of that we're clearly leaders of the home. We make all the decisions.
Yes.
And yet somehow we're befuddled. And so I just encourage all the women that you are capable of living a different way. You are capable of harnessing all your skill as a decision maker, as
Yes.
a person who does hard things. There is nothing easy about being a woman. And yet sometimes we're like, but I can't do anything. You can do something, right?
Yeah.
You can. Uh, yeah.
Yes. And we're also responsible for trillions of dollars worth of spending. We are the ones making the decision on what comes into the house. So we
That's
have
right.
so much power that you're right. Oftentimes we aren't embodying that. We are not embracing our vitality and our agency and what we do have control over. And we're outsourcing it. And we're also, I think, partially, you're a mom, I'm a mom, the mental load. It's so easy to give to others because that's what we've watched. That's, a lot of times culturally, we just see this generation after generation. And it's like our needs, we've convinced ourselves are supposed to come last, but that's stopping. That's stopping. And so,
Well, I think we're better apt to help the people we love when we're at our best, right? When we're dragged
yes,
through and so, it's become cliche now, the whole you got to put your own air mask on before you help the person next to you on a plane. It's become so cliche and yet it's still a message we need to absorb. But the good news is that there's so much in lifestyle we can do to be healthy, vital, active, joyful. There's so much in terms of harnessing medical technology that we can do. And so it's just a matter of education and really self-advocacy. Um,
yes.
yeah,
Yes. And we're at a place now, I feel like because of doctors like you, the conversation is happening. Because I feel like 10 years ago, nobody talked about menopause or like a lot of the things were happening in our bodies. We didn't understand them. So I'd be curious, you start off the book with your friend, I believe is it Eva or Ava?
Ava.
Ava, EVA. Yes, Ava. And you said that you'd known her forever and she was vital. And then when you
Yep,
reconnected, she wasn't feeling herself. She was now in midlife. And you talk about your own journey with this.
they do. Mhm.
Yes. And so at 40, and I can relate to this, you were feeling vibrant and amazing and like strong and
I
like you
had
could,
a baby for God's sake, right? I mean, all the
yes.
useful things to do. Yeah.
Yes. And then at 47, you also hit this wall where you're like, wait a sec, what's going on? So, what can we learn from what you journeyed through and overcame? And, if you knew, like, let's say there's somebody who's 35 or 40 listening right now, like, what, what, what should we know going into this so that we don't have to backtrack?
Yeah, I love that you asked that. In fact, I just posted on it the other day and it went everywhere because had I known then what I know now, I would have done midlife, I would have done perimenopause completely differently. So the first thing I think women have to know is is that this is a real thing, right? This is a biopsychosocial hormonal transformation, not unlike the silly example of a butterfly, right? I've never said that out loud before, but it's kind of like that. And I call this the menolescence. I love to create words. I
Oh,
created this word, the menolescence. Just like in adolescence, we
yes.
expect that to be traumatic. We all are like, oh, they're going through adolescence. When you come into your hormones, well, this is not different. It's just the reverse. Every tissue in our body has estrogen receptors. And when estrogen's not sitting in those receptors, what do we think is going to happen? Well, people say to me, well, I want to do it naturally. I don't feel that bad. Okay, well, and that's great. If you don't feel bad, I'm actually pretty happy for you.
Yeah.
But don't it's not about what we feel. It's about our brain starving because it doesn't have estrogen. It's about the 40% increase in cardiovascular disease. It's about the 40% of all women who will get osteoporosis because we lose 20% of our bone density. So it's not about just feeling a certain way in perimenopause. It's actually about preparing and preventing the ravages of chronic disease in the next 30 years.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And we don't know it until we hit because we don't think maybe it's going to be that bad or our moms didn't talk about it or they're like, oh, it wasn't anything, because generally well, I don't know, at least my mom, for her, she said it wasn't bad. She wasn't dismissing what I'm going through. She just, when I would ask her, she's like, yeah, it was, you just kind of went through it, but we don't need to just go through it. And, because of your book too, and some of the stuff I learned that sort of blew my mind that I didn't know, I want to read one section. It was literally in the introduction. And I was like, uh, I would like for you to elaborate on this. So, since we're talking about, creating strong muscle and bone, you write, muscle is the engine that drives your health span. Because we're not just talking about lifespan. We've already said that women are going to live longer, right?
We
So,
are. We're
uh,
winning that race. Yes.
we're winning that race, but we want to live well through the end,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
So,
That's right.
you said, though we tend to think of it as a mechanical workhorse, we now know muscle is so much more. Your skeletal muscle is a literal longevity factory. I love this so much. It turns out hormones, proteins, and other chemicals that build and protect your brain, heart, and other organs. It keeps your bones strong. And then you go on to talk about the bones. You say, while muscle is our primary armor and the master of metabolism, bone is the scaffolding that supports that armor and is the master of biochemical communication. As you'll learn, though we think of bone as calcified rods that hold us up, our skeleton is actually an endocrine organ. Mind blown. Like
No,
what?
how about that? Yes.
What? So can you
People
just
think of bone like dead coral. It's so not.
100%?
Bone is live coral. It is a living organism that's growing. And every 10 years, we remodel and get a whole new set of bones. So, isn't that
Wait,
fascinating?
every
Bone?
10 years,
Oh, yeah.
we're getting a whole what? Can you say that again?
Yeah, because bone is constantly remodeling. We're constantly taking away bone and building bone, such that every 10 years, we have a completely new set of bone. But bone is not just structural, it is metabolic. It secretes hormones, many of them. The one that I talk about most often is called osteocalcin, right? It
Yes.
helps build neurons. It is important for glucose metabolism and insulin resistance, helps men make testosterone. It does so many things. But did you know in your pelvis and your long bones, that's where all of our blood cells are made? Did you
No.
know our bones were the storehouses for minerals in our body? So our bone does so much and we don't even think of it until it
No.
breaks. And then we're devastated.
Until it breaks. And you talk about Kelly in the book. And I thought this is an important story that I actually would like to dive into because this woman was 57. She
57.
was exercising. She was like, I'm not going to be like my mom. So her mom
Yeah.
wasn't
Real
well.
story. Mm-hmm.
So tell us the story of Kelly because what I really want to understand too is what was she getting wrong? Because she was working out. but probably it
Yes,
sounds like
but
undernourishing. So like
so
what
many women, yeah, so many women come to me. They're like, I don't want to age like my mother. I'm going to do everything not to, and whether that means they became frail or they became obese. Um, we don't want to age like our mother. So Kelly didn't want to age like her mother because her mother had a weight problem. Her whole
uh,
life, the mother had been struggling. So she had decided to become strong. And so she was lifting very heavy. And I love that for her. But she had also bought into the myth that those of us in our generation grew up is that you have to be this big, like a
uh,
skinny little rail, because there's a
uh,
difference between being lean, which means you have a lot of muscle, and being skinny, which means you have a lot of fat. You may be the same size four, but there's a difference in body composition. And
uh,
so, not wanting to have the same weight struggles that her mother had, she was lifting, but she didn't know her bone density and she wasn't
mm,
feeding herself. She was really calorie restricting while trying to build muscle. But you can't build muscle unless you eat enough. So for her, it was this cycle until one day she had pain in her hip. And then the next big squat, she had a crack in her bone. And that's how I met her. I tell the story in the book. I had to meet her in the emergency room. The good end to this story is, I fixed her. She was so committed to healing well, getting back to a stronger place, learning how to eat, making her menopause hormone therapy decision. She's better than she ever was. I hate that she had to pass through this broken time, but
yes.
all the effort she was putting in, she's now course corrected and is doing great.
Okay, so we love that, but I think some women are going to listen and go, "Wait, I'm lifting, so how do I know if I'm doing it right?" But before we get there, just quickly, I thought this was interesting too. You said that osteoporosis doesn't get the attention that cancer or heart disease does, despite it affecting more than 200 million postmenopausal women worldwide. Again, all these stats of like, how do we not know this? Why isn't this a bigger conversation? So,
Well, I mean, maybe you can shed light on this, right? You're a woman
yeah.
uh, not in medicine. How do you find out about your body? Or where should women be? Because doctors know about this, but most women don't go to the doctor except one time a year, right?
Yes.
So, how would you want women, besides reading my book, Unbreakable? Because
Yes.
it is a big problem. I mean, I agree with you. It's a problem, but I personally don't feel like it is only medicine's responsibility to tell you how to live well. I think
Yes.
healthcare is a personal obligation, just
Yes.
like personal finance
I
or
hundred.
learning to drive a car or
Yes.
how to take care of your children, right? We would go to the ends of the earth to figure that one out,
Yes.
right?
For our
So I
kids,
don't know. What do you
100%.
think? Yeah, what do you think?
I'm glad that you're asking it. Okay, I'll give you an example from me. Because I do this podcast and I interviewed a lot of doctors and I do a lot of reading on my own and I am committed to, my health and my well-being. I asked my gynecologist for a DEXA scan. I'm 54. She's like, well,
Yep.
you'd be out of pocket other than I actually did meet a criteria because of weight. I've always been sort of leaner frame. And I have osteopenia in both hips and in my spine. And she told me, and I love
Yes.
my doctor, this is no knock on her. She said, based on the numbers, she didn't raise any red flags. But because I've had these conversations on the podcast, I know that it's the precursor to osteoporosis. So I did leave not being told, like, it was like go exercise. But I think sometimes it's we don't know what to do. Like Kelly, right? You said she was lifting and everything, but she was undernourishing. So there's so many pieces to the puzzle, which is why it is great as a doctor who is a board certified surgeon who's working on people all the time, wrote this book. So it actually is comprehensive because like you said, women ask you all the time, what do I eat? Sometimes
Well,
we need a roadmap because our mental load is so
absolutely.
big. If there's something that is going to get put aside, it might. And if I'm being honest, I still am not sure if I'm doing it right. I don't know if I'm building good bone. I also wore a back brace for scoliosis for 6 years that went from here to here. And so I've
Mhm.
got a moderate curve. So I'm always a little nervous about my back, like what's safe for my body.
Yeah.
So you could use me as an example. Like if I came to you and you saw that, would you say you're doing okay based on the averages?
Well, are you doing okay based on the fact that you have osteopenia? Well, we would like to correct that, right? We
Right.
would like to throw the book at it. So if you were my patient and you had osteopenia, we would be talking about your menopause hormone therapy decision.
Yes.
It's one of the most powerful ways to build bone, and not all women choose to do it for a variety of reasons, but if you can, that will go a long way because you'll rebalance the bone making. But
Yes.
also, if you're not lifting, I'll teach you how to lift. If you're not jumping, I'll teach you how to jump. If we're starving ourselves, we can talk. And women do come to me for this. I mean, they come and they spend a day with me. We measure body composition to see what you're really made of, because
Mm,
we can be mostly fat and still be skinny and be really metabolically so unhealthy, or we can have lean muscle mass, and we need to know that, right? But
yes.
regardless of what we're made of, we have to feed ourselves, and we have to feed ourselves enough protein. Bones are 50% protein. Muscle requires protein to build. And
Okay.
so, learning about nutrition and anti-inflammation, someone just commented to me earlier who had also read Unbreakable. It's not just an information book, it's like a handbook. You could literally take this. I mean, there's an app associated with it that you don't have to take this to the gym, but you could literally take it to the gym because it's going to show exactly. It is a blueprint. It's not just telling you, oh, you need to exercise. It's going to say do 12 of these, 10 of these, this many days a week. So, because that's the way I teach, because you're absolutely right. There's a difference between being told you should be aware and being
Yes.
told how to do it.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. But you are right in the fact that if it was my daughter, I would have figured it out yesterday.
Oh, yeah, totally. Somebody figured out you needed a brace, right?
Yeah,
And got on.
actually, my mom, my
Yeah,
mom,
that's what I
my
mean.
mom flagged it to the doctor. She's like, "Why
Yeah,
is there this bump on her next
on
to her
her.
spine?"
Yeah,
And next thing I knew, I was in a back brace. But
yeah,
no,
yeah.
I know it was actually a blessing in disguise. But no, this is so good. Okay, so somebody might be listening and thinking, because and you mentioned this in the book, like, is Pilates okay? Is yoga okay? I know you want us lifting heavy. So let's break this down to something a little bit more tangible. So talk to us about, because you made me laugh in the book when you wrote about the Jane Fonda videos. I used to do those.
Oh, thank God for Jane Fonda, but we need to
I
do
love
way
those
more than that.
videos. Right, but
Yeah.
that probably wasn't building bone in my body. So is Pilates, is that enough?
So when I prescribe exercise in midlife,
Yes.
we have
Yes.
four components, right? And I've written about this forever, and it's morphed and gotten better, but it's called Face Your
Yes.
Future,
Yes.
FACE. F is flexibility and joint mobility. So what does that mean? Well, we need to keep our ligaments, tendons, and muscles out to the best length so that they work properly, they're less injury prone. And in doing that, we're going to keep our joints in full range of motion, right? Pilates and yoga are great for this.
Okay. For
They're
the
great
F,
for
for the
this. The F.
flexibility, the
They are
F.
also great for core strength,
Yes.
but you can't stop there. You can't just do 1,500 Pilates and yoga classes and call it a day, which I've had people do. FA is aerobic. We still need aerobic. Women, the number one killer of women is heart disease. We still need aerobic work. We do not need to be pounding out high intensity interval training that's in the 70 to 80 heart rate range, percent heart rate range. I now prescribe the 80-20, meaning 80% of the time we're spending in low heart rate, highly metabolically efficient and flexible base training. And in my clinics, we measure what that is for you, but you can estimate it by 181 minus your age. So that's how so you're spending 3 hours a week, 45 minutes a day doing base training. When you have advanced enough, 20% of the time, which is about 2 days a week, after
Yeah.
you're thoroughly warmed up with your base training, you're going to sprint. Now, that doesn't mean like Sha'Carri Richardson, you're sprinting on a track. It's a heart rate measure. We're going to get our heart rate up as fast as we can. That's safe for us. And we're going to do sprint intervals. We're not spending time in the orange theory zone. We're spending time on the opposite ends for maximum benefit. And because the reps aren't so high, hopefully we'll be a little less injured. So FAC, carry a load, weightlifting. Everybody needs to work up from couch through body weight, through all the way to heavy lifting. And if you're not lifting at all, this may take you 6-9 months to learn.
Yes.
Nobody steps off the couch and does heavy lifting.
And they shouldn't.
And you
Right?
shouldn't. You should
Yes.
learn the technique. You should hire a trainer if that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Instead of buying another purse or new socks for your birthday, let's get a trainer. I know. How many purses do we need? I guess I'm not going to get a purse sponsorship after saying that, but but we need to learn to lift heavy, because what are we lifting for in midlife? We're lifting for strength and power. That's what we're lifting for. So, and then finally, FACE is equilibrium and foot speed. This is something that has been long forgotten, but it is often the fatal fall that kills you.
Yes.
Not the lack of muscle. It's tripping and falling over the dog or the rug or your purse or something.
Yeah.
And so I teach my women to balance, and I teach them foot speed. So we can hop over the bag that sits at the side of my desk that I trip on every day.
Right. You still have the nice purse, but you're also not going to be taken out if you do fall. That's important.
That's right. I still have a work bag, but I'm not going to be taken out if
you, which is important. So ideally, what age should a woman be getting a DEXA scan? So like I said, I asked for it. The insurance doesn't pay for it, if I understand correctly, till you're like 65, but you can pay out of pocket. So ideally, when would a woman be getting a baseline on her like DEXA?
Well, you may get insurance to pay for it if you have a risk factor, like your mother is shrinking or you're shrinking, or you had a fracture after
I did shrink an inch, by the way. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Or maybe you smoked or vaped because at one time you thought it was cool. Or maybe you've had a chronic illness like asthma and had to take a lot of steroids. There's lots of risk factors for bad bone. If you have a risk factor, insurance is more likely to pay for it.
Okay.
But if they will not, you can save your Starbucks money. The drink that I no longer get at Starbucks costs $7.18.
Oh my God.
You can save it up. Because
that's 1 week, 2 weeks of not having coffee. Yeah. Right? Okay. Yeah.
I'll brew it in my office. Yeah. Is $99. On average, you could find a DEXA scan for $99. And so it's all about priorities. And I say these things about purses and coffee and chic, but you have to prioritize what's important. And I think knowing your bone health and about your body is critical.
100%. I've heard you talk about this and you wrote about it in the book, and I want my audience to hear it too. Why is it that we are more at risk of dying after breaking a hip within a year? Like, can you explain the correlation of that? That's a scary statistic that some of the people may not know. What is going on there?
Your death rate after hip fracture has to do with sedentary living. You're in a bed. Probably for weeks.
Yes.
You lose about 9% of your muscle mass after 1 week in a bed, so you get weaker. If you're in a bed too long, you're going to get a bed sore. You may get pneumonia because you're laying there not breathing deeply, right? You may have a UTI. Maybe women get UTIs at an astounding rate because they're not offered vaginal estrogen for the genitourinary syndrome menopause.
Yeah.
And so that may be the reason you got dizzy and fell down in the first place, because you had a UTI. So you still have these UTIs, which can cause urosepsis, which 30% of people have. And so the list goes on and on. It's just that it is the critical fork in the road. And if you do not have physical resilience built up, it may be the tipping point. It's an analogy. I haven't used this analogy in a long time, but you'll understand it when I say it. It's if we do not build physical resilience like we put it in a bank account, we're living paycheck to paycheck. And we may be okay week to week until we get a big problem. The car breaks down. We have a big debt. The refrigerator stops. And we don't have anything to draw from. It's the same in our health. We may be getting by week to week, But when there's a big stress, physical stress, we have no resilience to draw from. So that's why the death after a big fracture, which is a major life event,
Yes.
is so deadly, right? And it's like this, Michelle, it's like this. The
You see
minute you
it
break,
every day. Yeah.
you decline. But an even bigger part of that is, let's say you survive. 50% of the time, you will not get to go home
Why?
because you're no longer independent. You cannot function independently. So you have a few choices at that point. Either you move in with your eldest daughter, because usually parents move in with their daughters, not always, guys, but usually. You
Yes.
move in with your daughter, or you hire a full-time helper, which is expensive, or you move into assisted living, which costs about $7,000 to $15,000 a month. And you do that until you use all the money you've ever made, and then
Ugh,
you're eligible for Medicaid, and the government will pay for it. Who wants to be in that position?
no one.
And if we knew at 40 that we could prevent fracture or some of it, I don't mean to be Debbie Downer here, but this is what I deal with every day, and we never think about it when we're 30 or 40. But what women in their 30s and 40s do say to me,
What?
I don't want to be a burden to my parents, blah,
Mm,
blah, blah. I don't, or older women say to me, or not to my parents, women say, I don't want to be a burden to my children.
yeah. Yeah. No woman does.
I don't want to talk, I don't want to tell them, I don't want to be a burden. Well, okay, so the best way not to be a burden is to stay as independent as you can as long as you can. And how do you do that? It takes a daily investment because there are time bombs of aging. And unless we step in front of it, time is going to take its course. So, Unbreakable is meant to be a woman's empowerment movement to
Yes.
educate, to instruct, to help you step in front of what can be a slope of suffering. Who wants that?
No one does. Thank you for sharing that because there may be women who've never heard that before. But
Mm.
so on the good news side,
The
you
good
say
news
you
side
say
is
it's never too late to start.
not 1 minute too late. Some of the oldest aging research, musculoskeletal aging research, it wasn't mine,
Yes.
it was by another researcher, worked with 90-year-old men in nursing homes. And do you know that by helping 90-year-old men in nursing homes gain do exercises from a chair, in about 12 weeks, they gained 150% function. They could get up, they could be more independent. So, if we can do this in 90-year-old frail men in a nursing home, there is never an age or skill level when we cannot improve. And in fact, I love it now. There's so many stories popping up on the Instagram about, there's one in particular, this 82-year-old woman, I forget her name. She couldn't even get up from a chair until she decided to start working with a trainer. And so now, just watching her transfiguration, her transformation, is so encouraging because she couldn't get up from a chair.
Wow.
She's walking, she's lifting, she's deadlifting. It's
Wow.
kind of remarkable.
Oh my
I
God, I love it.
know. She's remarkable.
Okay, why is grip strength an indicator of longevity? I don't understand this one either.
Yeah, you know what? It's not about squeezing a tennis
It's
ball.
not. That's not what it
It's
means. Okay.
it's not.
Is
Although
it
if you do
like
that,
opening, not if you can't open the jar of pickles? Is that like a
it's not
word?
about opening jars. It is
Okay,
a
okay,
proxy for total body strength. They found people whose hands were strong were also strong in their whole body.
okay,
So
okay,
it's a proxy for overall strength.
okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk mindset because I loved the part in the book where you talked about something I'd never heard about, some research on hardiness versus grit. So I think we've all heard about grit through what's her name, Duckworth. I can't.
Upward.
And but you talk about this concept of hardiness, and you also wrote about how you're doing like these Spartan races, which does sound pretty badass, and Fenway, which is I'm from Boston. I love the
Oh, so great, right? It was so great.
so it sounds amazing,
Yeah.
but it shows us that we have capacity for more, but the mindset piece is huge. So just maybe if you could touch on this, that would be helpful.
Yeah, so you know what I've been saying a lot lately, growing old is not for sissies. It's actually pretty hard work, right? So it's not only about physical resilience, it's about mental resilience. So over COVID, when I had more time, because I shut down our entire orthopedic department for a while, um,
Yes.
I became certified in Hardiness coaching following
Oh, wow.
the work of Stephen Stein and Paul Bartone, who did research on three groups of people to see what makes them most hardy. Hardy being the rational part of resilience. How do we figure this out, right?
Yeah.
As separated from grit, which is, I think of grit is stick-to-itiveness. We're just going to keep going, right?
Mm.
But grit doesn't necessarily take into account the rational side. Like, how do I figure this out? So there's a difference, right? Grit is I'm going to keep going. Hardiness is I'm going to figure this out. So in their work, they talk about the concepts of commitment. When troubles come, how committed are we to the goal? Well, I am absolutely committed to being as independent as possible when I'm 97, meaning if I want to ask for help, I'll ask for help. If I don't, I'm not going to call you. I want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. That means work now. I am committed versus, oh, it might be a good idea, right? Control. The concept of control is when hardship comes, I can take the next little step because I have control over what I do in this decision time versus, oh, I'm a victim, I have no control, right? So they talk about, and hardiness is the part of resilience that you can build.
Yes.
There are 10 characteristics of hardy people, but do you know what one of them is? Physical exercise.
Oh, wow.
Because it speaks to your commitment, it speaks to your control. Even for people, one of the groups that Stein and Bartone studied were prisoners of war
Mm.
from the Vietnam War who were stuck in these cages, totally out of control. But
Right.
do you know what they did? They took a little control back by doing push-ups in their cages, by
Wow.
staying as physically fit as they possibly could under those impossible circumstances. And so in that population, in current Army Rangers who have a tough life, in people born with really horrible congenital situations, they studied these people because not all of these people are defeated. Many of them are incredibly hardy.
Mm.
But one common denominator, amazingly, was physical activity.
Amazing.
And then scientists started looking at why. And part of it is attitude, but part of it is chemical. The
Wow.
contraction of skeletal muscle causes the transcription of a protein called galanin that goes to the brain and works in the parts of the brain that reinforce resilience. So
Wow.
isn't that amazing?
It's amazing. And actually, that whole chapter and reading that about the hardiness, I feel like is so applicable to all areas of our life. Like, I was like,
Oh,
wow, the difference between hardiness and grit, like a light bulb really went off. I was like, wow, this is the path. Like, this is, and also we know when we get up and we do that workout, like, you feel so good. You feel like you've
you
done something.
do.
You do. It builds confidence.
Well, let me tell you why I even talk about Spartan racing in that chapter of the
Yeah,
book.
please.
I just happened to live in the same neighborhood as the inventor of Spartan races, Joe
Oh.
DeSena, and his wife Courtney, and he buzzes around town all the time. And after enough telling me I had to go do one, I decided to do one, not because I'm skilled at obstacles, but because I know how to do hard things. I've done
Yes.
hard things my whole life. And not because I know how to get over a 30-foot wall, but I knew enough about myself to know uh, I could probably figure that out, right?
Yes.
So that is
Yes.
hardiness in play. So I
Mm,
get to this race. It's at Fenway. I've done multiple of them now, but the one I talk about in the book was at Fenway.
yeah.
To get into the race, you have to get over a 6-foot wall. I'm only
Wow.
5 feet something tall, so I'm not jumping over this thing. But as I
Wait,
stood
is
there
it
looking
flat?
at it, it's flat. It's a vertical wall. So I had to stand there, and if I wanted to be defeated, I would say, "Holy cow, I'm only 5'4". How am I getting over a 6-foot wall? I'm not strong enough to do a pull-up over it." But hardiness would tell me that I need to figure this out. So I figured out how to put my foot here and swing a leg over every single obstacle. I don't know how to pull a sandbag that weighs as much as I
Oh
do
my
on a
God.
pulley, but I figured out that I had to hold the rope and lay down. So hardiness is being resilient enough to figure it out. And that's what aging is about. I'm going to
So
figure this out.
that is so profound. I'm so glad you used that example. That is so profound. It's so motivating. Everything you wrote and what you're talking about. You're obviously a busy surgeon. You've got a family. Just, for anyone who's out there thinking, how does she fit it in? How do I fit this in? Like, just give us a little snapshot, something tangible, like something somebody can play with, today, like after
Of
hearing
my
you.
lifestyle, or
Yeah. How do you fit it in?
everybody has different capacity. And
Correct.
so I have a high capacity, and I've
Hmm.
learned that everybody has different levels of capacity. But I'll just give you a typical day. It's the same every
Please.
day.
Yeah.
I go to bed at 9 o'clock, or I'm starting my bedtime routine at 9 o'clock. I am in bed under the weighted blanket by 9:30, having
Okay.
taken my progesterone because I have a uterus and my magnesium because that helps me sleep, right?
Okay.
I'm not on my phone. I'm not reading. I get into bed. My body knows it's time to sleep, and I go to sleep.
Okay.
And because of all the things I do for midlife, I sleep.
Yeah,
I
me
am up
too.
at 5 a.m. no matter what day of the week, because sleep science tells us consistency is the most important way to get sleep. And I cannot be high capacity
Yeah.
unless I sleep. So 5 a.m. I get up,
Yeah.
and I always drink water and a cup of coffee because my house is quiet. And I just take a little time, a little cortisol lowering time to just let my dogs out and to be quiet, and nobody, my husband's up and it's our time together, right? We
It's
have
nice.
conversations. Or because I'm such a morning person, I get an hour of work done. I just sit at the kitchen and just answer emails, pound out before I go to work, right? And then I do whatever I'm doing. Maybe it's a surgery day, maybe it's an orthopedic day, but I do not have life work balance. I have life work integration, meaning even on
Mm.
the beach, I feel more calm if I'm just doing little things as I relax. I mean, I can't stand to sit still. It's not blocking hours to sit in the sun is not my nature. I just never would.
Yes.
But I
Yes.
integrate. And then so working out is the same. I am a night worker outer. The only time I work out in the morning is on a Saturday when I have all kinds of time. So if you're wondering how to figure it in and you only have 30 minutes a day, I did this
Right.
exercise with one of my clients earlier this week. I'm like, we're trying to identify time in her day.
Right.
We identified 3 hours where she could fit things in, right? And so
Yes.
I'm a night worker outer. And if you have 30 minutes, if that's all you can squeeze because you have these long commutes, you're going to lift weights. That's all you're going to do.
You're going to do
You're
the
going to
weights.
prioritize lifting weights. You're going to walk all through the day. You're not going to sit at your desk all day so that you get the cardio, some of the cardio in. And you're going to feed yourself enough protein, and you're not going to eat sugar. Those are only 4 things. If you have no time in your life,
Okay.
but
And if
on
you
the other
had a little
hand,
bit more time, you're doing the other stuff. You're going to
but
do
I
the
don't, for
face. Yeah.
instance, I don't shop. I mean, I'm not a shopper. I do not
Meaning you're
enjoy
not
shopping.
online, you're not going to stores.
I don't go to stores. I am
Yeah.
not interested in shopping, and it's just not my thing. For
Yeah.
many people, that is another time sink, not for me. So I buy time from other things that
Mm.
probably more well-adjusted women do, but I just don't. So that's how I fit it in.
I love that. No, it's helpful, I think, for people to hear it. As a longevity expert, anything new? I mean, you write about some stuff, but anything that's exciting you right now?
I believe that every woman is a sentient being and gets to make her hormone decision. Saying that, I believe that for women who can take it, estrogen is the elixir of longevity. If you cannot take it because of your cancer history, or you choose not to, you still have 6 or 7 lifestyle things that can prolong your life and or prolong the quality of your life. So I think what's new is hope for the future. I don't think the future of aging is a gadget for women. Biohacking is big in the longevity world, and I'm in that world, but I don't think it's one gadget for women. It, you could buy another gadget, but that is not the end all be all, right? I'm excited about focusing um, on different ways to measure bone density, using power plates as a adjunct to impact. I'm excited about really digging deep on how to clear our bodies of senescent cells, or really being concerned about our energy stores by doing short stacks of supplements, such as I take a supplement that makes a coenzyme in my body called NAD plus. I don't take NAD plus, I take NMN, which my body, and it really
Precursor.
helps my energy levels.
Yes,
A
my friend
precursor,
takes that.
right?
Yeah, yeah, and Emin.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
So I'm very excited about the little tweaks because I think that we control most of our health if we just learn about it and get in front of it and layer on the little things, because it's not about a diet. My book says 6-week plan. Yes, it has a 6-week plan, but it's about your lifestyle and
Yeah.
building an unbreakable lifestyle.
It's so beautiful. And I've loved everything that you've shared today. Is there anything I didn't ask that you're like, I really want Michelle's audience to take away from this conversation today?
The main thing I want you to take away is that although I do prescribe the hell to, I do treat you like smart, savvy women by teaching you the science. Nothing will happen until you believe that you are worth
Mm,
the daily investment of your health.
mm.
Until you believe that you are worth it, none of the good stuff will happen because you'll take care of everybody else first. So you really have to come to the belief that you have power in your future and that you are worth investing in that.
So beautiful. I just got goosebumps from that. Where can people find you? I know you're all over. I'll have it in the show notes. I mean, you're all over the place. And the book is, I'm assuming, available everywhere books are sold.
Everywhere. And so here's a couple things. I would love for you guys to join me every day on Instagram, Dr. Vonda Wright. I would love for you to go check out the book website, which is the Unbreakable book.com, because on the day the book is released into your homes, we've launched the Unbreakable app, which has all kinds of bonus goodies and assessments and just good stuff. So I want you to go there and be part of our community.
And ladies, all of that will be in the show notes with direct links to everything that Dr. Wright just referenced and all our social media. Thank you for the work you're doing in the world. Thank you for this book. Thank you for motivating us. I mean, anyone listening today is going to feel very differently about how they're approaching their health. I think there's no way around it. And so I appreciate you and your dedication to empowering women.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's been such a pleasure. Thank you.